So what is it that pulls us into this thing called board gaming? What is it that compels us to collect and play and examine various tactica? There are a lot of entry points into board gaming, into the hobby. And for me, the most important aspect, or I should say the one aspect that rules them all, is the social factor. Yes, absolutely. There is a part of my board gaming life that is completely solo, that enjoys the narrative of playing that solo. But given the choice, I love to play with my friends. I love to play really, really big games. I mean, my number one rule is everyone has a place at the table. The more players, the better. The more interesting choices, the more unique opportunities. This idea that we're stepping outside of space and time to create something unique on the table. So the more people we bring in, the better. Often what that means is completely breaking a game system. Whatever the number of players are is irrelevant. We'll play Zombicide, the various incarnations. Most of the adventures are for 6 players, 6 heroes, up to 6. We'll play 8 to 10. We'll play Talisman, 15, 16, 18 people. We'll play Pathfinder the Adventure card game with 7 or 8 people. We'll pull that in. So I'm always willing to stress the rules if it means bringing in more players. And anything I can do for a premium experience, I want to pursue. So from that perspective of leading into the hobby, this leads into today's vlog, today's discussion, today's comments. What about board games that demand you play in character? Board games that are based on a well-known IP or based on a movie, based on a series of books or a universe that just demand that you play in character and demand that you use quotes at every single point, or movie lines, dropping movie lines at every single point that you can. I mean, the perfect example is Star Wars, any of the Star Wars type games. How could we not do that? And I find with some of these titles, and I'm going to explore and offer up a few, and out of curiosity, maybe there are a few titles in your collection. I find it a great way to enjoy the hobby more and really pull into that game narrative. Now, of course, there's a duality. There's a fine line in that IP that you're playing, that narrative that you're playing, other people have to be aware of it or be enthusiastic about it. And certainly if it's an open type game, I never make it mandatory where you have to drop quotes. And I try to be mindful if I'm dropping these quotes and movie lines or speaking in that narrative or tone. I don't want to displace anyone if they're not aware of it. But if we're sitting down with a bunch of friends that all know the same movies and same books and they have everything memorized more than I do, never tell me the odds, let's jump in. Let's play it. So the first, Spartacus, jumping in, playing Spartacus, pulling from the movies, both movies. And I have to say, as a side note, I always thought jumping in with Spartacus Blood and Sand before moving to Gods of the Arena, the follow-up, I always thought just Batiatus was just very ambitious. And I thought Salonius was kind of really the bad guy from that perspective. But what you see in Gods of the Arena is the fact that, yeah, Salonius was out for himself. All of the gladiator houses are. But Salonius realized the ambitions of Batiatus, where he was like, look, I gotta check this. I gotta go off on my own. I gotta put up certain checks and balances because this guy is eventually going to come for me. He's going to truly turn on everybody. So it was interesting where you jump in on the first series with Salonius and you think he's kind of bad, but then you realize watching the prequel, he kind of had to do that. So I say Spartacus because it's all the characters one-on-one from the series. And being able to speak Roman English, or what the movie thinks Roman English Latin is going to be, with lots of different references, is really a lot of fun to play. And the back and forth pre-game and figuring out what gladiators you're going to pit against and making the trades and stuff like that, it's a lot of fun. I find that to be a lot of fun when we can get the right group together. Second title in my collection, I don't think this is going to come as much of a surprise if you've been following my channel for a while, Conan. I mean, Conan Aliens versus Predator. I mean, these are IPs that just, like, I'm there. I'm sold. I hope it's a good rule set, but I can even overlook rather clunky or poor-ish rule sets. Conan the board game mechanically is fantastic. And I'm just going to sidebar slightly into it to give you an idea of some of the ways that you can tie in various movie quotes and things like that. The game is a skirmish-based miniature game, an overlord game. One player controls the minions and bosses. The other players each control a character in the Conan universe, including Conan. And you go around and you have an adventure and you do a lot of cool stuff and you fight. It's a resource action-based system in that each character has a finite number of energy gems. And you figure out what you want to expend in a turn. And there's no turn order. So it's not like I have 3 actions, I go, and then you take your 3 actions. It's literally, you can go back and forth. So if I'm playing Conan, I can move, cut with my sword, and then pause. Okay, see what you do. You know, you throw your throwing knife, you hit, you try to grab another weapon, you fail. Okay, back to me. I'm going to spend an energy gem, and I'm going to toss my axe to you as a weapon. I'm going to crash through a door. I'm going to smash something over. I'm going to move through. I'm going to jump across something. I mean, a lot of options that you can go back and forth. It almost really feels like we're playing more of a role-playing game based in a skirmish rule set. So this is a chance just to pull in massive Conan quotes, dropping those Conan quotes everywhere. Barbarian, Destroyer, more from the movies than say the books. We tie it in with amazing theme music. Bonus points if you're playing Conan. You can also, we allow you to drop in the random Arnold quote from other movies and things like that where appropriate. But another great way to get into that narrative. And the final title, I kind of gave it away a little bit. Aliens, playing Aliens versus Predator. The Hunt Begins, or the newest AVP Aliens board game release. Well, it's not AVP, Aliens Colonial Marines. Playing the old leading edge game Aliens. The chance to pull in stuff like Game Over and just put that out there is a lot of fun. So turning it over to you guys, those are my top 3 titles that are just so easy to pull in various quotes from the IP. What are your 3? And I should say for Star Wars, X-Wing Miniatures, absolute beast to drop stuff in. But that is more of a miniatures type game, war game, fast play war game than it is a board game. But those lines get blurred very, very easily.